It's Car Con Carne. Let's eat in the car. It's Car Con Carne. And now here's the star of our show, James Van Alstyne.
And it is Car Con Carne. I'm James Van Alstyne. At the Hideout, we're in front of the stage of the Hideout with the patron saint of Chicago music, Jon Langford. Jon Langford, founding member of the Mekons, the Waco Brothers, and the Pine Valley Cosmonauts. He's a visual artist, a contributor to stage musicals, a man whose side projects are more interesting than most people's main hustles. Jon Langford is here, of course, at the Hideout.
Hello, James. How are you?
You have the key to the place. That doesn't surprise me.
I did have a key, and they changed the locks because they worked out how dangerous that was.
Yeah, it's nothing but trouble. Full access to all the premium liquors.
I never abused that power. I never abused it.
So Saturday night here at the Hideout, Pine Valley Cosmonauts, celebrating this release,
The Closing Time.
Let's talk about this. This is a song-for-song recreation of the first Tom Waits album?
Yeah, it was Greg Hall, who runs Virtue Cider, came to me, and he loved that album. And we were sort of talking about it. I didn't really know the album. And then when I listened to it, I thought it was really great because it just had it has that atmosphere. It's Tom Waits before he becomes Tom Waits. Mm-hmm. And it's just got it's crammed with great kind of ballads about the time of the night when the bar shuts down, or being in bars, or things that happen in bars. And this is all going on during the pandemic. And he wanted to make a record that would raise some money for Civil, the campaign for the Chicago Independent Venue League. We're trying to support all the venues that had to shut down during the pandemic. And to me, the more I thought about it, the better idea it was to get a bunch of what we've often done with the Pine Valley Cosmonauts, which is my sort of honky-tonk archaeology band we've had for quite a long time. We did, an album with Johnny Cash record of songs. We did an album with Bob Wills songs. Then we did 3 albums of anti-death penalty, death songs against the death penalty. And it's branched out from that. But this was like kind of getting back to like looking very closely at one artist and making something out of it. But I think Tim Tutton from the Hideout came up with the idea of calling it The Closing Time, because that's what, the album's called, Tom Waits' album is called Closing Time. Yeah, the pandemic was the closing time for all the bars, and the ramifications of the bars all shutting down, the venues shutting down, was much more than it wasn't just like, you don't get to see any live music. It was lots of connections were kind of broken, and lots of social things that we all, desperately need were suddenly just gone. So, yeah, I thought the concept was tight, so we went ahead and made the album, remotely somewhat in little pods, but it was a project to be getting on with while the pandemic was going on.
Isn't it interesting how thematically it just totally works? It's totally emblematic of what we all went through over the past year.
Yeah, I just think, the cover itself was my kind of like little homage to the Hideout. So it's all backwards. Mm-hmm. I came in and they let me in, and I made up an opportunity to come into the Hideout and have a look around, because I hadn't been in it for so long and I was getting withdrawal symptoms. But yeah, the cover it's kind of meant to be that kind of late night feel of a bar.
The Waits album is very emblematic of what we went through. Like from 40 years ago, the songs just make sense. You can ascribe those characteristics to the emotions we felt being cooped up at home, isolated.
Yeah, there's great songs on that record. I believe he's not like a big fan of it himself, because I suppose he emerged as a very different kind of artist later, and developed a very, very notable sort of style for his songwriting and his performance. But this album's like someone who's unformed and is doing all these just like great kind of sad pop ballads. I don't know if there's another album really like it. But
Old 55, is just...
Yeah, the Eagles had a hit with that. So
yes, they did.
We got Rosie Flores singing that, the first Latina ever on the country and western charts.
That's amazing.
Rosie Flores in 1980, I think it was 85 or 87. So she sings old 55, and she went to a studio in Austin with a mask on, and did that on her own, and it's a Frankenstein's monster of an album, because most of the people didn't meet who were on the album. So the Pine Valley Cosmonauts were literally, cosmonauts.
Yeah, scattered across the cosmos.
Circling the planet with, guitar parts falling in through the ether. So.
Well, let's talk about the people who lined up for this. Was it just as easy as calling up Jeff Tweedy saying, hey, here's the idea, are you in?
Yeah, pretty much. I would say that the way it works with the Pine Valley Cosmonauts is that mostly people are friends who I've worked with before on stuff. So a couple of new people on it, but just people, because it became like, well, we can get anyone from anywhere to do anything. So I had a mate, Benji Webb, who's a heavy metal sort of reggae singer in Newport, my hometown. And I wanted him to be on the album, and we've been talking about trying to do something. I said, hey, do you want to sing on this record? He says, I can record at home. He set up, people had actually, thought about it, set up to record at home. So we sing a duet across the stormy Atlantic.
I love that. And you have Janet Beveridge Bean, you have Nora O'Connor, Sally Timms, of course. I mean,
Yeah.
it is.
Janet and Sally actually came into a studio and we sat there and had a fist fight in the studio and sorted it out. But a lot of other people, like Andrew Bird, really wanted to do it, and he was kind of marooned in Chicago, but we couldn't really get together because he was filming that TV show Fargo. Mm-hmm. So he was in some kind of apartment in Chicago waiting to go off somewhere. He was just kind of quarantining there. But he had recording equipment with him, so he sent some stuff to me through the internet. I sent that then to our piano player. All the piano parts were done in Yorkshire in England, because a friend of mine who plays with me a lot has got a grand piano in his home studio. And he's the best piano player that I could think of for this project. So actually, it worked out pretty well.
So Saturday, the 17th, you're playing on stage. And I know you've done gigs since the singularity we all went through, but how does it feel to be able to take something like this to the public and be able to perform these songs? Is it cathartic? Is it emotional?
It's been very emotional, actually. Some of the gigs we've eased back into it, and there've been opportunities to do things. And each time we've played in front of a larger audience, it's been, cathartic, I think is the best word, because it's something we want to get out, and it's something that the audience, I think the one thing the pandemic's done is made people feel much more urgent about things and take things for granted less. And I'm really looking forward to this. It's going to be it's not a full band because a lot of the people involved in the album, we can't play the whole album,
right? Because
we don't want it to do it justice. But there's a good story. So Greg from Virtue and myself and Tim, I think, and we're going to talk about the ideas behind it, how it came about, and then Nora, Bethany, Sally, Janet, myself, John Szymanski, Rick Cooking Sherry, and Dave Max Crawford are going to perform some of the songs in different. It's going to be pretty low key.
And I love that you're going to be talking about it too. People love the behind the scenes.
That's what I did a lot of actually during the pandemic. Was a lot of. It seemed to make sense when you're doing these like live streams and shows in people's backyards to 12 people. It broke down a lot of barriers. It's not. The rules of how you do a show kind of really evaporated a little bit.
It's so funny.
I'm always comfortable talking as well.
Yes, you are. It's funny you should say that. I interviewed Tim Tutton earlier for this podcast, and we basically said, especially now in the present day, the old rules, the old agreed upon ways that an artist or creative needs to make his or their way through the universe, they're all bullshit. Everything's been equalized, and everyone has the same amount of access, and you just do things your way. That's how we all find our way through now.
Well, I'm hoping it's going to open a lot of doors, and it's made me think a lot. But the fact that we couldn't get into the clubs and perform for audiences of people was rough. And I think any musician will tell you this. Some of the best sounding rooms in the whole country are little bar rooms in Chicago. You think of Schuber's, you think of the Hideout, the Beat Kitchen. These are that's where the clubs that the Waker Brothers particularly kind of grew up on. Mm-hmm. And when you go back into one of those rooms and play a gig, it just sounds better. I've been outside with an acoustic guitar for 18 months, and when I have been able to play. And it's fine, but it's good to be back.
Pine Valley Cosmonauts at Hideout Sunday the 17th. That man, he is
Saturday.
Jon Langford. Can't wait. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for doing this. And thanks to the Hideout for everything.
Exactly. Thanks, James.
Thank you.